a highly respected species that helped found the United Federation of Planets. The Vulcan people have a long, fascinating history that stretches back 4.5 billion years to the progenitors which seeded life on many worlds, some of which eventually evolved into the many humanoid species of the galaxy, including humans, Vulcans, Klingons, and Cardassians. Roughly 600,000 years before the founding of the Federation, the Aretan species, which may also have descended from the progenitors, explored the galaxy, colonizing many worlds which may have included Vulcan. Yet they eventually grew so powerful they considered themselves gods, leading to a civil war in which they destroyed themselves and their home planet. Adapting to the environment of Vulcan while competing for resources to survive, their people evolved into a violent, chaotic species in a near-constant state of war and conflict for thousands of years. Worshipping gods of war, death, and peace, prehistoric Vulcans developed their own mythologies, like the story that all creation originated in the ancient paradise of Shakari, and celebrated various pagan rituals like Rumori, where they stripped and chased each other around covered in Rillen grease. As technology continued to progress, the Vulcan people achieved spaceflight in the 4th century by Earth calendar, possessing weapons capable of destroying their planet. Realizing their volatile society was on the brink of self-annihilation, a new philosophy quickly spread across their world, rooted in the teachings of Surik, a scientist and philosopher who brought forth the Age of Awakening, in which Vulcans learned to suppress extreme emotion, to instead embrace logic as the central tenet of their lives. Although many accepted these new teachings, others refused to change their way of life, leading to an atomic civil war in which Surik was killed. However, his Katra, or consciousness, survived, finding a way to transfer into a statue, where he remained until found in the 22nd century. Eventually, the more violent, traditional faction, known as those who marched beneath the Raptor's wing, were defeated, and so they left their homeworld to found the Romulan and De Bruyne civilizations. What little contact remained between their peoples over the centuries largely proved hostile, with Romulans and Vulcans provoked into fighting a 100-year war at some point before the 21st century by a powerful Q of the Q continuum. Although Surik's philosophy took hold across the planet, his exact teachings were lost over time, leading to various interpretations of his beliefs. Even so, the violence of the past greatly diminished, and the population united under a single government. However, as a consequence of witnessing so many positive developments, their people became rigidly dogmatic in their beliefs, entirely intolerant of anyone who disagreed with the established system. And so conflict arose when any individual or group expressed interpretations of Surik's teachings that fell outside the mainstream of accepted thought, like the Vatash Katur, or those without logic, who believed emotions needed to be embraced and controlled rather than suppressed. Persecuted by other Vulcans, the Vatash Katur went into exile, ready to find a new home or else wander the stars, exploring their philosophy in peace. Then there were the Serenites, who believed the people and government lost their way and no longer followed the true teachings of Surik. Despite these minor problems, the focus on logic and use of meditation to strengthen their minds and mental powers led them to become beings of exceptional intelligence, with great physical strength and resilient bodies, able to speak telepathically and suppress emotion. Ancient rituals like Rumori were set aside, while others like Kunut Kalifi, meaning marriage or challenge, were kept intact. Although Vulcans were capable of mating whenever they wished, an evolutionary remnant of their biology meant they continued to experience the Pon farr, desperately driving them to mate every 7 years. If a Vulcan was unable or unwilling to satisfy these urges, they could lose their mental control to a blood fever in which they could only mate or kill. Fostering a culture of arranged marriages, families often chose spouses when children were still young, and the bond could only be terminated through Kalifi, in which 2 men fought to the death for the female, or when the female refused to accept her betrothed, fighting herself or naming a champion. Although marriage rites and other customs retained a connection to their ancient past, in most other ways, Vulcan culture changed drastically, imposing rigorous academic standards on their children, while also teaching them to meditate and suppress emotion. Thriving in an environment of peace and cooperation, their people once again made great technological progress, so that by the 19th century, they were an advanced, prosperous, spacefaring civilization. Eager to explore the galaxy throughout the 20th and 21st centuries, Vulcans made contact with many other species, including the Andorians, Tellarites, Klingons, and others, establishing peaceful relations with most of their neighbors. Yet while Vulcans were often respected for their honesty and intelligence, their serious demeanor made it difficult for some to embrace their people. Although initial contact with the Andorians was friendly, relations grew strained over time, leading to conflict and war over border disputes. Based largely on a system of meritocracy, the government of Vulcan, known as the High Command, was theoretically comprised of all the best diplomats and leaders on their planet. Of all the alliances fostered by this government, their most productive relationship developed with the humans of Earth, whom they observed for many years, avoiding first contact until 2063, when they reached the technological threshold of developing warp drive. Entering into a partnership with the United Earth government, Vulcans helped them advance their technology and become a part of the galactic community, yet they purposely slowed humanity's rate of development so they might mature as a species, eliminating war, disease, and poverty while embracing equality and peaceful coexistence. To the surprise of many, humanity proved remarkably quick to learn and adapt, with Vulcans needing 1,500 years to accomplish what humans achieved in less than a century. Although the High Command continued to keep some technology back from their allies, with their ships able to reach Warp 7 while humans remained at Warp 5, by the 2150s, they were largely regarded as equals, with Captain Jonathan Archer of the United Earth government ship Enterprise NX-01 and his Vulcan First Officer T'Pol doing much to strengthen the bonds between their people, exposing corruption and treason in the Vulcan government, which led to a significant reformation, replacing the High Command with new leaders who were grateful to Earth for their assistance. Archer also helped negotiate an alliance between humans, Vulcans, Andorians, and Tellarites, known as the Coalition of Planets, originally formed to oppose the aggression of the Romulan Star Empire, who oppositely were working to undermine this growing friendship between rival powers, even striking a secret deal with the former High Command to bring their ancient kinsmen into the Star Empire. With Vulcans focused on reforming their government and attitudes toward their relations with other worlds, it was humanity who led the effort to build an alliance of planets in their region of space. Yet Vulcans nevertheless played an important role in supporting these efforts, providing a large portion of their military strength in those early days, as Earth had few battle-ready ships. After Captain Archer of the Enterprise successfully mended relations between the Andorians and Tellarites, the deception and hostility of the Romulan Star Empire was exposed, and so a conference was held on Earth in 2255 to discuss the formation of a coalition of planets, which might help defend Allied systems against hostile aggressors. Planets represented at this conference included Earth, Vulcan, Tellar, Andor, Denobula, Rigel, Corridan, and a number of others, and while the talks started well, they were disrupted by Terra Prime, a group of xenophobic human extremists threatening to destroy Starfleet headquarters unless all non-humans left the system. Yet these terrorists were swiftly thwarted, and the talks later resumed, eventually leading to an alliance. By 2156, relations between humans and Romulans grew ever more hostile, resulting in the Earth-Romulan War that continued until 2160. However, humans were not alone in this struggle, as their Vulcan, Andorian, and Tellarite friends came to their defense, defeating their enemy at the Battle of Charon. Witnessing the benefits of such cooperation, these worlds took their alliance a step further by forming the United Federation of Planets in 2161 to be governed by an elected president and council of representatives from member worlds. Over the next few centuries, Vulcans naturally fell into various important roles, often working as diplomats to negotiate peace agreements and bring other worlds into the Federation. Although headquartered on Earth, Starfleet, which served as the military and scientific branch of the Federation, began to accept members from any allied species, starting with Captain Archer's first officer, the Vulcan T'Pol, who joined their organization after a conflict with the previous Vulcan government. Yet once the Federation formed, many others joined as well, so that by the 23rd and 24th centuries, there were ships with entirely Vulcan crews. One of the most important figures during these years of Federation expansion was Ambassador Sarek, a Vulcan who served on the Federation Council for many years, responsible for a great number of diplomatic accomplishments, including the Khitomer Accords of 2293, which brought forth a century of peace between the Federation and Klingon Empire. Although he married a Vulcan princess and had a child they named Spock, his wife soon died, and so after living on Earth for a number of years, Sarek married a human woman named Amanda Grayson, resulting in a child of mixed ancestry they named Spock. Although he and Sarek had strained relations for many years, Spock nevertheless largely followed in his father's footsteps by becoming one of the wisest and most important Federation diplomats of the 23rd and 24th centuries. Spock earned recognition early on in his career by serving as first officer to Captain James T. Kirk aboard the USS Enterprise during their famed 5-year mission from 2265 to 2270. However, he later served as an ambassador and diplomat, even traveling to Romulus in 2368 to discuss the possibility of reunification between their species. Although this effort proved a difficult prospect, he spent decades living on their world trying to improve relations. While Vulcans lost their way under the High Command, requiring many years to fully reform their society, they eventually rose to new heights of power and influence, even returning to the forefront of exploration as one of the first to travel into the Gamma Quadrant upon the discovery of the Bajoran wormhole. When the Dominion then used this same wormhole to invade the Alpha and Beta quadrants, plunging the region into a terrible war, the planet Vulcan came under threat when the enemy captured nearby Beta Z and attacked Earth. Yet an alliance between the Federation, Klingons, and Romulans eventually succeeded in defeating the Dominion to re-establish peace. Although they fought side by side during the war, a coup d'etat on Romulus killed many of their leaders and led to renewed aggression against the Federation. Though this effort was ultimately defeated, it left the re-established Romulan government greatly weakened. Matters only grew worse for their people in 2387 when their home planet was destroyed by a supernova. Ambassador Spock, who was still living with the Romulans at the time, attempted to save them but failed, and so concentrated on preventing the supernova from causing further damage by creating a red matter singularity. However, Nero, the captain of a Romulan mining ship which survived the disaster, was so grief-stricken from the loss of his home and family, he attacked Spock's ship, resulting in both being pulled through a black hole into the past, arriving in an alternate reality where in 2258, Nero avenged his home by orchestrating the destruction of the planet Vulcan, killing over 6 billion of their people. A special thanks to all those who contribute to CivilizationEx, like Sir Darin of House Ashford, Fred Heartless, Knight of Iron and Ice, Zong the Black Wolf, and Barachado. If you'd like to help the channel, be sure to give a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and click on the links below, or else go to patreon.com/CivilizationEx, where you can gain early access to videos, vote on future content, and watch the Patreon-only series, Heroes of Lore and Legend.